Storytime about why you should stay away from guys who just got out of a long-term relationship. So a little background information, I was 14 and I was in high school. And I had just moved from a normal high school to a special education unit where there was only about 60 to 90 kids. And I met this guy named Robert, and he was supposedly the most popular guy in school. He was a grade above me and he was super hot. He definitely had a reputation with the girls, and his body count was higher than his age. Well, I have a single stay-at-home mom, and her and I haven't had the best relationship, and she's kind of strict but also kind of not. Like, for example, sis will let me get my belly button and my tongue pierced, but will not let me hang out with boys. Does that make sense? Absolutely not, but here we are. Well, somehow Robert and I started talking, and then we started dating, and everything was going super good. I was seeing him every day, spending every single hour that I possibly could with him, until I came home one day with a hickey on my neck, like for part 2. Part 2 about why you should stay away from a guy who has just gotten out of a long-term relationship. So like I said, him and I started dating, and the one day I came home with a hickey on my neck. I didn't sleep with him, but him and I were fooling around. But my mom went psychotic. She grounded me. I wasn't allowed to see or speak to Robert ever again. Which was stupid because I'm a 14-year-old girl who's in love with a boy. I'm definitely going to find a way to talk to him. So now this led to me thinking that he was going to get bored and not want to be with me anymore. So finally, 2 months later, my mom was letting up and she let me go out with my friend Lauren. But we ended up just going to Lauren's house so that way Robert could come and see me. And I think I forgot to mention a few red flags. All of my friends told me that Robert had an ex-girlfriend of 4 years that he was absolutely in love with. But that wasn't the worst one. He told me that he was never going to get over his ex and that he was always going to want to be with her. And then he asked me to be his girlfriend 2 days later. And we're going to call her Lucy. Well, I posted a few TikToks and Lucy's best friend Ellie commented on my TikToks, like for part 3. Part 3 about why you should stay away from guys who had just gotten out of a long-term relationship. Like I said, I posted some TikToks of Robert and I, and Lucy's best friend Ellie decided to comment. Ellie commented something along the lines of, "Look at Robert finally getting some attention." And Lucy, which is his ex-girlfriend, commented, "He can finally leave me alone now." So I screenshotted it and I showed it to Robert, and he was like, "Oh, just forget about it. It was nothing. Block them." But instead of that, I decided to be petty and I posted another TikTok saying, "Look at Robert finally getting some attention." 5 minutes later, Ellie Snapchatted me and she was like, "I don't know why you're doing that. Like, I just commented that because he was literally just texting Lucy on Christmas, saying that he misses her and he would do anything to get back together with her." So I screenshot it and I show it to Robert, and he doesn't say anything. He literally just straight up ignores me. So obviously we broke up. He got a new girlfriend and she would literally call me every name under the sun. So I gave her a little reminder that he's never going to get over Lucy. And I started dating Robert's best friend, and he is so loyal and I love him so much.
Best friend told my parents that I lost my V card because she was jealous. 2 months ago, I started dating a new guy at our high school. He was the new guy in school and every girl wanted to be with him, including my best friend. Now, before this, my best friend and I had never had any problems between us. She never showed herself to be envious or jealous of me, so I trusted her. And I literally told this girl everything. The new guy started showing me a lot of attention. He followed me on Instagram and DM'd me right away. Apparently, I reminded him of his ex, who he was obsessed with. One morning, my best friend and I are hanging out before class starts. The new guy walks up to us, says good morning to us both, and then asks me if he could talk to me privately. That's when my best friend says, "You can talk in front of me. I'm her best friend and she trusts me." So then he proceeded to ask me out in front of her. The look on her face was terrifying. She was so pissed off. Of course I said yes and he walked away. That's when my best friend said, "Oh my god, he's kind of ugly. Did you smell his breath? It stinks really bad. Why would you ever go out with that guy?" Then she says, "You better not go out with him." Part 2. When she said, "You better not go out with him or I'll tell your parents." I looked at her and said, "You wouldn't dare." She's like, "You're right, I wouldn't." By the way, my parents were very strict. They'd never let me go out on dates, much less have a boyfriend. The weekend comes around and I'm getting prepared for my date. So I told my parents that I was going to be with my best friend the entire weekend. And of course, they believe me. I send her a text message saying, "Hey, I told my parents I'm going to be with you. So if they ask you, you got to cover for me." She says, "Of course I will." I go on the date with the new guy and it was so much fun. For the first time ever, I was treated like a girl. He held my hand, he was kissing my neck, and he paid for everything. Like I said, up until that point, I'd never really had an experience like that. I was falling for him quick. We'd gone to watch a movie and at the movie theater, he started kissing me. Of course, I kissed him back. That's when he asked me if I wanted to go back to his house because his parents weren't home. And I said yes. As we're driving to his house, I was so excited. So I texted her out of excitement telling her that I was going to be going back to his house. She replied and told me that I was a slut and that I was being too easy. She even asked me to send her a picture of what I was wearing, which I did. Then she replied, "You'd look like a slut." Then we got to his house and we started making out again. Part 3 is up. That's when we started doing the dirty in his room. All while my best friend is slut-shaming me. Could hear her messages come in as we're on his bed. I grab my phone and silence it and see that I have about 20 text messages from her. I read the first one and it said, "You better not be effing him right now, or I will tell your parents." But of course I ignored them. I was doing it with this guy. But to be honest, it ended pretty quickly. As I'm getting dressed, he says, "Do you need me to drop you off at your best friend's, or can you stay and have dinner with me?" This boy was trying to cook me dinner. Of course I said yes. I text my best friend and tell her, "Why are you being so mean?" I told her that nothing happened, but she wouldn't believe me. That's when I told her that he was gonna make me dinner at his house, and this is when she got even angrier. She said, "Why is he making you dinner? What did you do to have to get that dinner?" I told her nothing and she wouldn't leave me alone. That's when she started calling my phone. Of course I didn't answer. 3 minutes later, I get a call from my mom. I answered right away and pretended to be at my best friend's. And that's when my mom told me that my best friend called her and told her the truth. So I couldn't lie anymore. Took me to my parents' house and they were furious. My parents told this boy that he has to marry me. He literally ran away. I ran out of time. Part 4 will be up soon.
Am I wrong for being mad at my fiance for replacing my coffee with decaf? Okay, I know nothing about coffee, so I don't know if I'll be able to relate to this, but here we go. So I, 31 female, am currently 4 months pregnant with my fiance, 32 male. We've been together for 7 years and are planning to get married soon. We've been meaning to for years, but have never seen it as urgent until we both found out that I was pregnant recently. We're both over the moon and really excited. However, I haven't become overcome by mommy fever or anything. Now, I have been lucky enough to not have experienced any morning sickness or nausea or anything like that, or any extreme symptoms in my pregnancy. However, last week, I started getting absolutely killer headaches. I would describe it as if someone had taken an ice pack to my eyeball. I am someone who usually drinks 3 or 4 cups of coffee a day for context. I told my husband about these headaches and started to get really worried because I thought I was going to have the flu or maybe something worse, which could be bad for the baby, but he didn't say anything. After a week or so, the headaches pass, but I've noticed I'm a lot more tired than I used to be. I tell him this as well, and he still doesn't say anything. Well, this morning I found a pack of decaf coffee empty in the garbage, and suddenly it dawns on me what's been happening. I'm the only one of us who drinks coffee, and he's the one who's been doing the shopping the past 2 weeks. I confront him, and he admits that when he's ordered to do the weekly shopping, he's just been reusing my usual coffee tin and buying the decaf version of the same product because caffeine is bad for pregnancy, and he knows I don't have the will to do it on my own. But look, I've quit now and can spend the rest of my pregnancy without it. He said he didn't want to make me feel bad about my vice by confronting me and that it would be easier to quit if I wasn't doing it intentionally, so he did all 3 of us a massive favor. I tried to quit caffeine before as a detox a few years ago and only made it 2 days, he points out. I lost it and said he was a horrible person. Basically, I started packing my belongings and said that the way he acted is evidence that he actually not only completely lacks respect for me, but that he caused me immense stress, knew it, and still didn't own up to it until I had to confront him. He is refusing to apologize, so I'm staying at our friends until he does. However, he doesn't think he did anything wrong. He and his friends think I'm being the asshole because he was just doing what's best for his baby's health, and that I'm completely overreacting, and that my reaction is just pregnancy hormones. I'm really upset and feel like I'm making a massive mistake. Okay, maybe I'm wrong, but it's just coffee. Am I wrong for getting upset with my best friend's son for giving my son cake? My son is 8 years old and recently attended his friend's 8th birthday party. This friend is my best friend's son. I don't let my son have any junk food at all, and he usually brings his own snacks to events that have a lot of sugary foods. I don't like judging parents and stuff like their kids, but their kids, let them have some sugar. My best friend bakes a lot and made a special chocolate cake for her son's birthday. When it comes to my son, I don't let him have cake. This is personal preference for his health, not for any allergy reasons, and he is not diabetic or gluten-free. My son knows he isn't allowed to have cake because of the additives. When he told his best friend this at the party, his friend apparently got upset and told him it was good cake, not bad like I say, because his mom made it and it was his birthday cake. My son ate the cake, got a sugar rush, and crashed, making him cranky for the rest of the day after we left the party. I told my friend she needs to have some kind of consequence for her son to teach him not to peer pressure other children into eating things they're not allowed to have. She said because it wasn't an issue of allergies or health, that she's sorry my son was cranky, but she won't be punishing her son or talking to him about it on his birthday. She also says that she'll just watch more closely and make sure her husband does in the future, as well as have a chat with him on another day about respecting food habits. I love my friend, but historically, her and her husband have always said yes to their son and not given him any consequences for anything. Both of us were present at the party and did not see them sharing the cake. They were outside eating in the backyard with their fathers and some other parents supervising while we cleaned up. Both of us were present at the party and did not see them sharing the cake, so it's not an issue of anyone going behind anyone's back, just teaching children boundaries and respect. I let my son stay for the rest of the party and be with his friends, so it's not like I ruined the day. So, am I the asshole for being upset with my friend's son and the fact that she won't punish her son for pressuring my son into eating cake? You're at a birthday party! God forbid you experience some joy in your life.